Hello, my name is Kat, and today I'm going to do my February wrap-up. So I had a pretty good reading month in February. I finished 4 books, which doesn't feel like a lot to me because I'm still kind of getting used to the lowered reading challenge. My goal now is a book a week, and I am maintaining that, but I still kind of feel like I'm slacking. There's just so many books that I want to read. It's a bit overwhelming at times. But anyways, I read 4 books in February and I really enjoyed all of them. They were all 4 or 5-star books for me. So let's get into it. So the first book I read this month was Unravel Me by Katytastic. This is book 2 in the Shatter Me trilogy, which is a dystopian / paranormal trilogy about a girl who has a lethal touch and the controlling government group that wants to use her as a weapon. This one is probably my least favorite book in the trilogy, but it's still a solid 4-star book. I'd give the first book like 4.5 stars and the third book like 10 billion stars. So it's a good middle book. I don't really have a lot to say about this book because as soon as I finished reading it, I immediately jumped into Ignite Me, book 3 of the trilogy. And this book just made me so incredibly happy. Before reading this, I liked the series, but this book, this final book, just bumped that like up to love. This series now has a very special place in my heart. And Warner. I did a full review of this book and I talk about the series overall with no spoilers in the beginning of that video, so I'm gonna go ahead and link that below and you can watch that if you'd like to know more about this book and the trilogy. If you like beautiful writing and well-developed characters and a romance that will induce the fangirling, then I definitely recommend giving this series a go. The third book that I read this month was Control by Lydia King. This is the first book in a new dystopian sci-fi kind of series, and I read this along with hundreds of other people as part of the We Want Control read-along. I had so much fun reading this book, not just because the story is very fun, but because reading it at the same time that a bunch of other people were reading it was just, such a cool experience. I had such a blast with this book. Control takes place in a future where genetic mutations are possible, but they are very illegal and kept on the down low. Not a lot of people know about them. The story focuses on a girl named Zell, whose father is killed and her sister is kidnapped, and she's kind of taken in by a group of genetically mutated people who have a connection to her family and are the best chance she has at getting her sister back. Like I said, this book was just so much fun. I loved all the cool technology and the science. There's an emphasis on science and the author is an actual scientist. So it's like legit scientific groundwork for the genetic mutations and cool technology, and I loved that aspect. I gave this book 4 stars on Goodreads because I really enjoyed it, but it could have used some improvement in a couple of areas, particularly character development. I didn't feel super connected to the characters, but still enjoyed it. And I actually just put up a review video on this book where I talk about the overall plot with no spoilers in the beginning. So if you want to know more about this book, I encourage you to watch that video. And the final book I read in February was Cress by Marissa Meyer. This is the 3rd book in the Lunar Chronicles quartet, and I absolutely adore this series. The 4th and final book, Winter, is one of my most anticipated books right now, second only to The Blood of Olympus. Like, if I had both of those 2 books in my hands, I would just be crying tears of joy. If you don't already know, then let me tell you about these books. The Lunar Chronicles is a series of futuristic fairy tale retellings. The first book is Cinder. It is a retelling of Cinderella, and it kind of sets up the main story arc for the entire series. Book 2, Scarlet, introduces new characters and retells the story of Little Red Riding Hood, while also continuing the main story that started in Cinder. And then book 3 is a Rapunzel retelling, which follows the character Cress as her story is woven into the existing stories of Cinder and Scarlet. This series is so good, and this book is just the best one yet, I think. It was my favorite so far, at least. I give it 10 billion stars. Actually, that's what I gave Ignite Me, and I liked this one a little bit more, so 20 billion stars. That's a lot of stars. Why not? If we're giving out imaginary star ratings, we might as well go big. The series isn't even complete yet, and I already consider it one of my favorite series of all time. I love the characters and the writing and the world, and the story is just spectacular. It's so grand and epic and just woven together so unbelievably well. It's a beautiful series, and if you haven't started it yet, then I really encourage you to do so. I am still going to do a full review and discussion of Cress, so yeah, if you want to know more of my thoughts, then just sit tight, cause that video is a-comin'. It might be like a week, but it's a-comin'. Alright, that is it. Those are all of the books that I read in February, and that is everything I had for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great night, and I will have another vlog up soon, so I will see you then. Goodbye! This book gets so smudgy. Be unsmudgy. Keeping it classy. Wow, much stars. And I will have another vlog up soon, so I will go ahead and see you then. No, I won't, because you'll see me if you watch the video. I don't know your life. That's not the outro.